Three things have changed the conversation about photographs of children. Now, they're not new for every early years setting, but together they're a very good reason to look again, to look at how you take, store, and share children's photos. Because the risk around an ordinary photo has changed. Keeping Children Safe in Education 2026 explicitly recognises that nude and semi-nude images may be digitally altered or created using AI. Now, that document applies to schools, including maintained nursery schools. It's not a new statutory duty for every private nursery, preschool or childminder. However, the DfE's advice has been updated and is directly relevant to everyone. It says providers should keep photographs and videos of children to a minimum for safeguarding purposes and only share them with parents through technically secure methods. Now, why does that matter? Because an ordinary photograph can now be copied and manipulated in ways most parents were not thinking about when they first signed your image consent form when they began at your setting. Like, technology now does not care that a child is 3. In April 26, an act called the Crime and Policing Act became law. This made it an offence for all AI image generators to create child sexual abuse materials. There is also an associated minimum sentence of 5 years, but as I record this, that offence has not yet been brought into force. AI-generated child sexual abuse imagery itself was already illegal, and figures show reports of AI-generated child sexual abuse material rose from 199 in 2024 to 426 in 2025, a huge increase. So it's clear the direction this is heading. Now, you no doubt have heard of the London Early Years Foundation with their 43 nurseries, but what you might not know is that they have changed how it shares images online, as has many on the button users. They are moving away from identifiable faces, using backs of heads, hands, feet, and photographs of the activity itself. You don't have to make the same choice as they have, but you should have made a choice. What do you share? Where? Why? And what safeguarding sits around those choices? As I often say these days, we've always done it this way is not enough anymore. If you use an online learning journal or nursery platform, children's photographs may be stored on an infrastructure you do not own. That does not make it unsafe, but you do need to understand the arrangement. For the information your setting decides to collect and use, you will usually be the controller, with the software supplier acting as a processor. Using a processor does not remove your responsibilities, and processors have responsibilities too. Now, as you may also remember, in 2025, almost a year ago, attackers stole data relating to around 8,000 children from a nursery group. Photographs were included. Sample profiles appeared on the dark web. So ask your provider 3 questions. Where is our data stored, and from which countries can it be accessed? 2, Who can access children's photographs and how is that access controlled? And finally, when you leave, how are those images returned or deleted, including copies and backups? And when? Ask for it in writing and keep those answers. Not because an inspector is waiting to read them, but because you are responsible for children's information and you should understand what happens to it. Now, 4 other things to consider. Decide your position on identifiable images. Remember, securely sharing a photograph with a parent is very different from putting it on an open social media account. 2, review what parents are told, what you take, why, where it may be shared, and particularly if you publish online, the risks. If you rely on consent, and we tend to, make sure it is still specific and informed. 3, ask your software provider for those 3 questions I covered earlier. 4, tell your whole team. Anyone who takes, uploads or posts photographs needs to understand your approach. The person posting to Facebook on a Friday afternoon needs to know this just as much as your safeguarding lead. Now, this is not about never taking another photograph of a child. Photographs can be valuable. They can help families feel connected and capture moments that matter. It's about recognising that the risk has changed and making sure your practice has kept up to date. Take care. Bye for now.